Now, as I hinted at the top of the show, you've got to stick around and see the latest bungle from Joe Biden. It's a shocker. I'll have it for you later. But let's get back to the energy debate. I started off with our ongoing energy crisis, and the energy giant AGL is closing the massive Loy Yang coal-fired generator in Victoria's Latrobe Valley, a decade ahead of schedule. It'll be closed by 2035 now. Now, one sensible long-term solution for our energy crisis is, of course, nuclear, no emissions. But Labor continues to play games with that. They say it's too expensive, too scary, really. Here's Chris Bowen making a goose of himself in Question Time yesterday, building a scare campaign about where they're going to put nuclear reactors.
Put your hand up if you'd like one. There we go. You get a nuclear power plant, and you get a nuclear power plant, and you get a nuclear power plant. There's plenty to go around. And they also told the Senate where they'd go, the mid-north coast. There'd be the big banana and the small nuclear reactor next door. A favourite for the kiddies.
Honestly, these troglodytes. Let me bring in Nationals MP and former Resources Minister Keith Pitt. Thanks for joining us, Keith. I mean, this is like 1970s uni students, the way they harp on about nuclear power. Have these people not been to France, the UK, the US, Taiwan, South Korea, China, all the countries that are using nuclear energy safely and effectively?
And that's without the ones that are building some now, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Bowen, unfortunately, just oozes hubris. And I think he'll be caught short by the Australian people. They just, Aussies just don't like that sort of stuff. But why wouldn't we assess technologies that changes as there's opportunity? And if you look at the comparison, it's got a very small footprint. You don't need to build transmission lines all over the country through people's backyards and farms and, of course, at any other piece of their property. You don't have to have 2 million hectares of solar panels, which will be expired in 20 years or under.
Well, that's where I want to jump in. Sorry, Keith, but that's where I want to jump in about all the announcements we're getting now from the Queensland State Government, from AGL, from the federal government. The numbers they're talking about are mind-boggling. $20 billion from AGL, $100 billion from the federal government, $62 billion from Queensland to build all these wind farms and solar farms, and importantly, all the transmission networks they're going to link them together. Who's going to pay for all of this? And we still won't have reliable supply. Well,
guess who's paying, Chris? It's you. Straight down the barrel.
Yeah,
every single user of electricity is paying. I mean, Premier Palaszczuk and Stephen Miles must have got together with a map of Queensland and some crayons. They've marked a few circles and some dots and a couple of lines. And here's the plan. And it's going to cost 60-odd billion, and they're putting up 4, and who knows where the rest comes from. But the press release was something phenomenal. At the top, it's getting rid of coal, and at the bottom, it's keeping coal. The Premier was at Stanwell Power Station today telling them that their coal-fired power station jobs are safe, but telling the Greens that coal's going to go. Hydrogen-ready gas turbines, which means there'll be gas turbines and peakers. I just think this is ludicrous. It won't work, and it's going to cost people a fortune.
And this is one of the great benefits of nuclear. Of course, it's going to be costly to start a domestic nuclear energy industry, but you don't need all that additional transmission around the country.
Well, you also don't need the ancillary services for frequency control, managing voltage, system strength, which is really important for actually keeping the network stable and the lights on, because they're traditional generation which rotates and it's got momentum rather than wind and solar, which have none. You've got to pay for that as an extra. So I just think it makes sense. It is a long-term prospect, and I think people are up for the conversation.
Now, do you give Anastasia Palaszczuk any credit for banking on pumped hydro as well? It's going to be very expensive and all the rest of it, but at least it demonstrates that they understand batteries don't work or they're too expensive to be effective.
Well, I mean, that's one statement out of the media release today, that batteries at scale won't work, and I agree with that. But the people of Queensland have got long memories. The last time a special purpose vehicle was set up for dams, it was the Traviston Dam, which cost over $1 billion to build nothing, and it was the Paradise Dam, around $300 million, which is currently going to cost about $1.2 billion to repair. So I don't have a lot of faith in Queensland Labor's ability to build this type of infrastructure. We've already seen that no one's been notified. We've got a small town which will go underwater. And if you want a prospect that's advanced and actually works, go and have a look at Urana, batteryofthenorth.com.au.
I'll have to do that one. I'll have to do that after the show. I'm sorry, got to move on. Thanks for joining us, Keith. I appreciate it.
Great to be with you.